أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. We are talking about the women's rights in Islam. And of course, because of the very short time that we have in this series of programs, we can't discuss the details of any topic. Just we show a very general picture of the topic, and of course we advise our dear brothers and sisters to do more researches about any of the topic, and they can have access to the Islamic references, very authentic references through the web and virtual libraries. Today we want to answer to a question about women's rights, and that is the issue of dowry. As-Sidaq, the Holy Quran in many verses is pointing to this issue. When a man marries a woman, in Islam it is said that something, it can be in the form of cash or in the form of land or property or house, should be appointed as dowry, and this is the right of the woman. What is it and what is the philosophy behind it? We have to give you a very short introduction. Before Islam, in the age of ignorance, the Arab in those days, when they wanted to marry a girl, for example, they were giving some money to the parents of the daughter, as if they were buying the girl from her family, and then they paid the price for that. Islam came and abolished a lot of other oppressive traditions regarding the issue of marriage. But one thing is emphasized by Islam, and that is the issue of dowry. First of all, dowry is exactly a right for the woman herself, not for her parents. And dowry is not, in fact, the price of the woman, not at all. What is it for? You see, when a man marries a woman, of course, usually the life is very good. They live together and they have good coordination, cooperation, and very good understanding of each other. And this mutual understanding and the peace exists in that life will continue. And there is no problem. And that dowry, which is in the form of cash or any other properties, will be in fact like a debt for the man. As long as the woman has not asked for it, he does not have to pay it immediately. He can accept this debt, and when the woman asks that she wants to receive her dowry, then the man must pay it. What is it for? When, because of any reason, they divorced and they separated. When separation happened in that life, of course, Islam does not like it. Islam does not like divorce. It is permitted, it is lawful, but it is very reluctant in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the lawful issue which is not desirable at all, is the issue of divorce. But we have to accept the realities. If because of any reason they separated, what will happen? In such situations, man can go and remarry very easily. Man can continue to live and to run his life because he has access to a lot of jobs, a lot of fields that he can enter, and he has the power to run and to manage himself. But what about the wife? The wife who is separated, she cannot remarry as easily. And usually, in such cases, when a divorce is happened, separation is happened, men go and marry again. But women and ladies, they continue to be single to the end of their lives. Here, dowry is like a bankroll, like a fund for this lady. Islam has considered this right for the women, that in those days, the days of separation, the woman must not suffer. Now she is separated, and nobody is paying for the expenses of her life. Who is going to support her? Islam has considered dowry. Dowry is like a fund, like in fact a support for the lady in the days of separation. Of course, if they continue to live, and even sometimes maybe even the wife will forgive and says to her husband that I don't want any and I don't want to receive it. What we are trying to say is that the philosophy behind of dowry is to be a support, a fund, a bankroll for the woman in case of separation, in case of divorce. It is not a price for the lady, not at all. Why don't we say it is not a price? Because when you want to marry a woman, what do you say? Just you recite those sentences that, for example, I want to marry you, and then we have an offer, then we have the acceptance, al-ijab wal-qabul. Even if you don't mention the issue of dowry, marriage will be constituted. Marriage will be created. Marriage will be there. Even if you don't mention the issue of dowry, it means that it is not one of the pillars of marriage. But Islam has regarded this issue just to consider a support for the woman and not for the man, because as we explained, man easily can continue to manage himself, to run his life, even if he marries again, because he has a job, he has an income. But usually ladies, they don't have any support in such cases. Therefore, we see that this is really one of the very helpful, very wise commandments of Islam about the issue of marriage. We will continue to answer to other questions related to the women's rights in Islam. Until then, thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.